I once had a conversation with someone who said that he rejects the existence of God because it's irrational to believe anything that is not proven. That's what he said. It's irrational to believe anything that is not proven. So I said to him, in what I hope was a reasonably gentle manner, I asked, do you really believe that? If so, can you prove it? Do you see what I was trying to do? If it's true that it's irrational to believe anything unproven, then one must first prove that it's irrational to believe anything unproven. Otherwise, that belief is not worth accepting. I hope you follow what I mean. The reason I gave that answer was not to embarrass the fella. It certainly wasn't to be a smart aleck or try to humiliate him in any way. It was more that I wanted him to show that, I wanted him to see, rather, that his own belief system contradicted itself, that it did not stand up under scrutiny. And if it contradicts itself, then something's wrong. Now, there are other ways to answer that question, or answer that claim, of course. For example, rational people believe a great many things that are not proven. Many scientific laws are accepted as true, but are not actually proven yet, such as the conservation of mass and energy. Now, I don't think anyone really doubts that one, and we have good evidence for it, very strong evidence for it, but strictly speaking, it's not absolutely proven. Many mathematical statements are not absolutely proven. You cannot prove, for example, that A plus B always equals B plus A. You can demonstrate it, but that's not the same as proving that it's always true. Again, no rational person disbelieves that, but we commonly accept it to be true. Even though there's now no absolute proof of it. It's what's called an axiom, something that's unproven but which is accepted to be fact. Even when it comes to non-mathematical everyday experience, there are many things that we commonly accept to be true. How do you know that you're not some disembodied brain floating in a vat of liquid that's being fed false impressions of the world, an illusion? You don't. You don't know that. You can't prove that it's not the case. But we accept that it's not true because that's simply the more, how do I put it, more epistemologically reasonable. How do you know that you're not dreaming right now and that everything you experience is not just everything you've experienced for the past 20 years is not some elaborate dream? You don't know that. How do you know that the world was not created 5 minutes ago and that you simply have false memories of everything that occurred prior to that? Again, you cannot prove it to be true, but philosophically, we accept that that's the case. We believe a great many things. Rational people believe a great many things that are not proven. We have to. You have to start somewhere. In fact, the whole notion of a proof means that you go from what is known to what you can establish from what's known. You start with some premise. If that premise is not valid, then your conclusion is not valid. What does that mean? It means you have to start somewhere. You have to ultimately start with something that's unproven. The axioms I was talking about earlier. Moreover, there's such a thing as preponderance of evidence. It's like, can I prove, for example, that O.J. Simpson is guilty? No, I can't absolutely prove it, but let's get real. You know, I think the evidence is more than conclusive, and I think most people would agree with me on that matter. No offense to Mr. Simpson, of course. Can I prove that, say, the Civil War occurred? I can't absolutely prove it, but the evidence is pretty overwhelming. To demand absolute proof of something is, by and large, unreasonable. It's necessary sometimes in mathematics, but in the real world, it's seldom necessary. What's important is that you have compelling reason to believe something. And I do believe there's compelling reason to believe in God, even if I cannot absolutely prove His existence. It would take too long to explain why I believe in God. There's so many arguments you could toss out. You have cosmological arguments, teleological arguments, noological arguments, arguments from the historicity of the resurrection, from miracles that people have experienced and that appear to be credible, and so forth and so on. Suffice to say that these beliefs do not come about in a vacuum. There's good reason to accept belief in God. And I hope that you will accept those beliefs too, or that belief too.